We got the fit. And no, this won't be a ranking Akatsuki members from weakest to strongest. No, that is not what this video is about. If you want to watch that video, you can go ahead and go to another video on YouTube. There's already like 3,000 videos doing that, okay? This video is going to be ranking Akatsuki members from least amount of aura to the most amount of aura. In the spot, and I came with the fellas. Now, I need to make the distinction that strength and aura is not the same. You can be very strong but not have that much aura. But in most cases, being strong adds aura to your chart. But remember, strength and aura is not the same. Because a character may not be the most powerful character in the room, but they might have the most amount of aura. Another clarification, I will be measuring their aura levels based on the time that they were part of the Akatsuki. Because there are some members that were in the anime way before they were part of the Akatsuki. I'm not going to count those scenes. I'm only going to count the scenes when they were part of the Akatsuki. Not before, not after. Only when they were part of the Akatsuki, okay? So now that we have made that clear, let's start with this video. The Akatsuki members that I will be ranking will be Pain,
konan, itachi, kisame, sasori, deidara, kakuzu, hidan, orochimaru, そして zetsu.
Plus Toby. Okay, so these are going to be the categories in which I will place each character based on their aura points, okay? Because we're gonna add up their points, okay? We're doing some math in this video. So with that being said, let's start. First, we need to start with zetsu. So zetsu, it's like a 2-in-1 because we have black zetsu and we have white zetsu. But I'm going to count them as one. As soon as Naruto called zetsu aloe vera, we can already tell that Zetsu is gonna be on the lower ranking of the aura chart, but I think his lack of aura comes from the fact that he's not a combat type of character. He does a lot of behind the scenes work and his whole technique is about not getting noticed. Some of his aura scenes are when he entered the 5 Kage Summit. He kinda ate. As soon as he entered the 5 Kage Summit, this dude comes in and strangles him with one hand. Him getting killed by Sasuke, I'm sorry, but he lost aura points there as well. Like, how are you gonna get killed? And then I know that this happened after the Akatsuki gang was already like dispersed, but him killing Madara, he really did that. He really was unnoticeable. Like, nobody really got worried about Zetsu until that last moment that he did that. And some people are gonna say that Madara got nerfed, which I agree, but it is what it is, whether you like it or not. He's very good at gathering info, making clones, stealing chakra. He's a very helpful character, but when it comes to aura, he just doesn't have that much aura. But at the end of the day, I really think that his lack of aura helped him because, like I said, nobody really noticed him, and look what he did at the end. So let's just talk about Kakuzu. So he's the oldest member of the Akatsuki gang. Another thing about Kakuzu is that he's immortal. Immortal for him means that he has 5 hearts. So in order for you to kill him, you will have to kill him 5 times. Like, kill the hearts. You know, very Voldemort coded. And on top of that, he's kind of scary looking. You know, he got that Frankenstein thing going on for him. And all of these traits will make you think that he has a high level of aura. But the reality is that he's not as imposing or as intimidating as you would imagine, in my opinion. Yes, his technique is very good, but when you compare him to the other Akatsuki members, he's lacking a little bit. So let's talk about some of his aura scenes. I have to mention it. The fact that he tried to kill the first Hokage and failed, I don't know if I should believe him. I really need to understand what did he meant when he said he fought the first Hokage. Did he meant that he threw a kunai knife at the first Hokage and failed? Or did he meant like he really went hand to hand with the first Hokage, like Madara and the first Hokage type fight? You see what I'm saying? Like, I feel like he's lying. I don't know. I don't believe him. I have to take away aura points from you. I'm sorry. The fact that he's immortal and has 5 hearts, he lost against Pain and had to join the Akatsuki. I'm gonna take away aura points from him for this because it's almost like he didn't want to join the Akatsuki. He just did it because if he didn't join the Akatsuki, Pain was going to get rid of him. I really love that he makes fun of hidan. Speaking about hidan, we need to talk about the fact that hidan used his technique on kakuzu not once, but twice. He and hidan retrieved the 2-tailed jinchuriki and the 7-tailed jinchuriki, and I love the fact that he has this ability to sew back limbs. He did it with hidan, he did it with deidara's arm. I think that's very cool, so I'm going to give him aura points for that. But then again, he has almost 100 years of battle experience. He's the oldest member of the Akatsuki, so you will think that his intel is unbeatable. Naruto still beat you? You are the most experienced one in battle of the Akatsuki. I'm taking away aura points.
Major bag alert, major bag.
So the next member we're going to talk about is deidara. Honestly, his technique is one of my favorites out of all of the Akatsuki. He's a little bit freaky. Yes, that's true. He's a little bit freaky. I don't know what's going on with the hands, but his technique is kind of cool, and I love the fact that he really likes art. I really love that about him. Let's talk about some of his aura scenes. So let's talk about the fact that he lost against Itachi and had one-sided beef with all the Uchiha clan, which included Itachi and Sasuke at that moment. He had beef with all the Uchihas just because Itachi defeated him. Like, he was really fed up. I have to take away aura points for that. He was the youngest member of the Akatsuki gang. He lost his left arm to Gaara. Even though that in the Naruto universe, whenever they lose an arm, it's not a big deal because they always find a way to put it back again, or they just get another arm. But still, I have to take away aura points. But then he came in clutch. He captured Gaara all by himself. I think that's pretty impressive. And then this man Deidara does one of the most disrespectful things in the whole anime universe. He sits in top of Gaara's dead body. It doesn't matter how you feel about it, he gains aura points for that. Then he lost his right arm to Kakashi. Like, no, we cannot keep doing this. And then he is very impressive once again. He captured the 3-tailed jinchuriki alone. But then at the end, his fight with Sasuke was such a good fight to watch. But here is where I learned that he is a crash out, and for no reason. Like, he just wanted to one-up Sasuke, and then at the end, after he blew himself up because he thought Sasuke was gonna come with him, Sasuke was able to escape. So baby Deidara, you were crashing out and you blew yourself up for nothing because Sasuke escaped. That's so embarrassing. No, I'm taking away aura points. He's still a very powerful and scary character. I mean, he could blow a whole village up if he wanted to. So I'm not saying he's weak. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the aura levels were not that high. So the next character we're going to talk about is Sasori. Let's start with the fact that he deserved more screen time. And honestly, I wish they didn't got rid of Sasori so early in the anime. Like, we didn't got to see a lot of Sasori and he was very cool. Me personally, I think he was nerfed. But let's talk about some of his aura scenes. So first, he was kind of immortal and he could transform his body into a puppet. That was very cool. We have to give him aura points for that. Another thing that we have to give him aura points for is his puppet technique was kind of diabolical. Like, his whole thing was that he wanted to kill other people to make them his puppets. That's some villain shit. Plus, he uses poison with his puppets. Another thing why we have to give him aura points is his voice. And the sounds that the puppets made were so scary. He defeated the Kazekage and made the Kazekage his puppet. Do you understand what that means?
I lost. I have no right to choose. Take me where you want.
Another scene that was filled with aura for him was when he defeated Orochimaru. And I know that Orochimaru said that he was holding back, but still, Sasori defeated him. So I don't care what Orochimaru says. Something that he did that made him lose aura points was he made his Kazekage puppet fight against Orochimaru's Kazekage's reincarnation. And Orochimaru's Kazekage reincarnation won. But then he did a face reveal. This is the reaction that every faceless YouTuber wants when they do a face reveal. The impact that Sasori made on the fandom when he did that face reveal, we have to give him aura points. But then at the end, he lost against Sakura and Lady Shiyo. Some people say that he let them win. At the end of the day, he lost, so he has to lose some aura points for that. So for the screen time that he had, this is a solid amount of aura. The next member we're going to talk about is Hidan. Okay, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear you say, but Hidan is the weakest member of the Akatsuki. That's not what we are talking about in this video. That's not relevant. I think that is very unfortunate that the Akatsuki didn't know how to use his technique, because if they had known how to use his technique, the Akatsuki could have accomplished their goal much faster. So this is what I would have done with Hidan. He should have been left in a hideout at the base camp of the Akatsuki, and he should have worked with Zetsu. You know how Zetsu goes everywhere? So Zetsu should have assisted the other Akatsuki members that were in battle, that were having a hard time, get the blood of the opponent of the Akatsuki, and then gave it to Hidan back in the hideout. Hidan would have had time to do his ritual and defeated the opponent. I don't understand why Hidan was in the front lines. Hidan should have been hidden. So let's talk about some of his aura scenes. So first, I have to take away some aura points for the fact that he's in a cult and he's a fanatic.
Would you like to join the way of Jashin?
I know that him being in a cult and all of that is part of his technique, but I don't know. Whenever he was rambling about the way of Jashin, like, girl, okay. But then again, I have to give him aura points because his technique was so sinister. I find his technique very similar to Nobara's technique in Jujutsu Kaisen and very similar to Queenie's technique from American Horror Story. There's just something sinister about those techniques, you know? So I have to give him aura points for that. Another thing why I have to give him aura points is because he became immortal because of his belief, right? Because of his god. And I know I said he was rambling a lot about the way of Jashin and this and that, but at the same time, his god gave him his powers. So I feel like we can assume that maybe his god is real. Another thing that we have to give him aura points for is the dramatic makeup that appears on his skin when he starts doing his ritual. It just makes it more sinister. The whole thing is just so scary. Another thing, his weapon is similar to the Grim Reaper's weapon. He gained aura points. The fact that he took out one of Kakutsu's heart. But speaking about Kakutsu, we have to take away some aura points from Hidan because the fact that Kakuzu doesn't respect him and makes fun of him. He captured the 2 tails and he captured the 7 tails. But then he got decapitated by Asuma. That was rough. And I know he's immortal, but still, how you gonna get yourself decapitated? That was so diabolical, but at the same time, we have to give him aura points for that. But then he got played by Shikamaru and destroyed one of Kakutsu's hearts. No, I'm taking aura points for that. And then on top of that, Shikamaru doesn't only fool you, but he blows you away. The other thing I'm taking aura points away from him is because he let his attitude and his ego and the fact that he was very full of himself get in the way, causing him to lose. He could have won this battle. The next member we're going to talk about is Orochimaru. Now, Orochimaru is tricky because he was one of those characters that was presented in the anime way before he was part of the Akatsuki. So we got to see him before the Akatsuki, then we saw him in the Akatsuki, and then we saw a lot more of him after the Akatsuki. We're only going to count the scenes where he was in the Akatsuki. So first, let's start with the fact that he tried to take away Pain's Rinnegan and failed. Brother, what are you doing? And then he tried to take over Itachi's body to get the Sharingan and failed. Like, what are you doing, bro? Don't you know who you're dealing with? And on top of that, he lost his left arm to Itachi. Like, all of this is making him lose so many aura points. It's insane. And then he had to leave the Akatsuki organization because he had no other options. So that's everything he did while he was in the Akatsuki. He was trying to be slick. He was trying to be smart. But every time he was trying to pull a stunt, he failed. So Mr. Orochimaru, you are in aura debt.
I fell back, I had a baby, I did the mother thing.
Now, I know that he's a character full of aura, but while in the Akatsuki, you were not him.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
So the other member we're going to talk about is Obito. Very similar to Orochimaru. Obito is very tricky because he did a lot of things before the Akatsuki organization was formed. And then he was in the Akatsuki. And then he did a lot of other things after the Akatsuki organization stopped existing, right? We're only going to count the things that he did while in the Akatsuki. So first, we're going to talk about Obito as Tobi. Because we have Obito as Tobi and then we have Obito as Madara. So Tobi, and I know this is a funny scene, but the fact that he got strangled by Deidara when Deidara had no arms, Obito, you're losing aura points here. And again, I know Tobi was like a character that he was doing, but I need to call them as I see it. When he was scared of the three tails, and then in the Sasuke versus Deidara fight, Tobi was kind of like just standing there. And I know he was in character. He's a method actor. I know, I understand that. He was not giving aura. When he started gaining aura points was with this scene.
Itachi Uchiha is now dead.
What? I don't believe it! Kidding.
It's just as I expected. Later.
This scene was so cool. And then this scene, the pose, mama, the pose alone, it's so filled with aura. We have to give him aura points. But then he was fighting two of the bodyguards of Denso or something like that, and he lost one of his arms to one of those dudes. Like, really? And then he got the arm back, right? Because that's just how the Naruto universe is. But then he lost the same arm against Konan. I have to take away aura points. I know the Obito fans are gonna hate me for this, but I have to say it. I have to say it. The fact that he had to use the plot armor jutsu, better known as the Izanagi, against Konan, that's not a flex, bro. The fact that she pushed you to your limit so much that you had to use the plot armor Izanagi in order to defeat her, it's not a flex. It's not. It's really not. Give me those aura points. I have to take them away from you. But even though it was with the plot armor, he ultimately defeated Konan, okay? So we have to give it to him. I didn't like that. I didn't like that outcome, you know, but we have to give it to him. We have to give him aura points for winning against Konan. Another thing I want to give him aura points for is the fact that he has like an Uchiha eyes farm, because that's why he was willing to use the Izanagi, because he can replace his eyes. Another thing I want to give him aura points for is his technique, and something that ultimately I have to give him aura points for is the fact that he was pulling a lot of strings behind the scenes in the Akatsuki organization. And I know that Obito gained a lot of aura in the war, but for his time in the Akatsuki, the amount of aura that he collected, not too high, not too low, it's just right there. Okay, so the other character we're going to talk about is Kisame. He's the shark boy of the Akatsuki. He's the waterbender of the Akatsuki, okay? So let's talk about some of his aura scenes. We need to start with the fact that him and Itachi pulled up to the Leaf Village, stripped the out in the Akatsuki fashion, and not given a single. We have to give him aura points for that. But then in their little fight that they were having, he got kicked by Guy. The other scene that is filled with aura is him and Itachi pulling up to a 12-year-old Naruto. And not only pulling up to him, talking about we're gonna take you with us. It's Kisame saying, I'm gonna cut your arm just so you don't put too much of a fight. Saying that to a 12-year-old is insane, but he gained aura points for that. But then him and Itachi failing to retrieve Naruto, I have to take away aura points because I feel like this was the perfect time when Naruto was 12 years old to get him. He's a waterbender, so his technique is very cool. Guy Sensei low-key violated him again, and I know it's a clone, but how are you gonna let this happen a second time, Kisame? I have to take away aura points. Something I will give him aura points for is the fact that he captured the four-tail. Another thing that make him gain aura points is the fact that he fooled Killer Bee and his brother into thinking that they had gotten rid of him, but they didn't. And then again, he got kicked by Guy a third time. And on top of that, Guy doesn't remember who the is. Something that made me gain a lot of respect for him is that he kept putting up a fight. He didn't surrender, and he died for his cause. He himself, and you might say, oh, but you took away aura points from Deidara when he did the same thing. Yes, but Deidara did it for petty reasons. He was just trying to get to Sasuke. Kisame did it for his cause. You know, he did it for the thing that he believed in. And when Kisame did it, it was actually worth it. When Deidara did it, was not worth it because he didn't took Sasuke with him. He just off himself. And another thing is that he got Guy to remember him, because that was the whole thing. That was the whole beef. Kisame was salty because Guy didn't remember who the fuck he was. But at the end, Guy said like, oh, I will always remember him. So that alone made him gain aura points. Even though he was defeated and he died. And I really like his character because he was really a ride or die type of character for the Akatsuki. He really didn't fold and he kept his word. So yeah, Kisame falls under the category of sleeper aura because at first glance when you see him, yes, he's a scary dude, this and that, but you don't expect this amount of aura coming from him. So he has a sleeper build type of aura. Next character we're going to talk about is my beautiful origami queen, Konan. Let's get into some of Konan's aura scenes. Mama, we need to start with the fact that she was the only woman in the Akatsuki. We need to give her aura points. She was that girl. She was that girl. Another thing, she won against Sasori and made him join the Akatsuki. That's aura points for her. Another thing, she was the second in command of the Akatsuki, so we have to give her aura points for that. Another thing, her technique, it's so beautiful. She is that girl. We have to give her aura points. Another thing that we have to give her aura points for is the fact that she was not afraid to fight against Jiraiya. Mind you, Jiraiya was her teacher and she didn't care. She was like, no, I will fight you. Something that I will take away aura points for, and I know it's not her fault, but I have to take away aura points, it's the fact that she was a victim to Naruto's most powerful jutsu, the Japanese jutsu. But then again, that fight against Obito, she was not scared to fight him. She took his arm and she opened the water like she was Moses from the Bible. Do you understand the magnitude of all that happened in that fight? And on top of that, like I mentioned before, she made Obito use his plot armor technique, the Izanagi. But then again, just the fact that she lost against Obito, like she died at the end, we have to take away aura points. She has that aura. It's a slipper build type of aura. She is that girl. Plus, she didn't have that much screen time. The next character we're going to talk about is Pain, also known as him. Let's break it down. Some of his aura scenes. First of all, he was the leader of the Akatsuki. Another thing, Nagato, because we're talking about Nagato as Pain, right? Nagato as Pain. His drip, his character design, his emo looking, all piercings in the face type of beat that he had going on is the best out of all of the Akatsuki. He's the best looking member in the Akatsuki, so we have to give him aura points for that. Another thing that was very cool, he got rid of Hanzo and he became the major of the village.
Kill him. He got you up.
Similar to Konan, he didn't give a f about the fact that Jiraiya was his teacher. He was like, I don't care. And if you're a Jiraiya fan, I'm sorry, but Jiraiya lost. Oh, and this scene of him jumping the sixth tail, because that's what he did. This scene is filled with so much aura. And mama, let's talk about him doing the Shinra Tensei.
Shinra Tensei.
diabolical work. Here is where you get to see that Pain is him. And another thing, that fight against Naruto, it's easily on the top 5 Naruto fights. This scene of Naruto hammering him down, and this scene as well, like, what is going on? How you gonna let Naruto treat you like that? And similar to Konan, he was victim to Naruto's Japanese jutsu. And the fact that at the end of the day, Naruto defeated him, because that's just what it is. Naruto won that battle. We have to take away aura points.
A new emotion. Wow.
This world shall know pain.
Pain is him. Whenever he was on screen, you knew it because you felt the aura from a mile away. And last but not least, let's talk about the clan killer, Mr. Itachi Uchiha. Some of his aura scenes are. I will not include the massacre of the Uchiha clan because that kind of happened before he was part of the Akatsuki. Like, I know he already was talking with Obito and this and that, but it happened before. Let's start with the fact that he defeated the three-tailed Jinchuriki with his Amaterasu. Honestly, I feel like he went a little bit too hard on the three-tail. He didn't have to do all that, but still, he won that battle, so we have to give him aura points for that. Another thing I want to give him aura points is for the fact that he entered the Akatsuki easily. You know, like, he didn't put up a fight. It's not like he didn't want to join and they made him join. Another thing, when he put Orochimaru on his place, we have to give him aura points because Orochimaru was wilding too much. And again, he took Orochimaru's arm, so we have to give him aura points. Deidara had one-sided beef with him the whole time, and Itachi didn't even knew about it. He didn't care because Deidara was not on his level. Itachi was that girl. When he pulled up to Konoha in the Akatsuki fit, not giving a aura points. And then when he showed that lady how a real genjutsu is supposed to look like, he was like, nah, that weak ass genjutsu won't work on me. Gagged. He gagged her. Another thing, even though he's a criminal, he still got manners. He was very polite and he knocked on Naruto's door before trying to kidnap him. And this scene was so tough to watch when he made Sasuke look like a little bitch. Again, he didn't have to go so hard on Sasuke. Sasuke was the same age as Naruto, like 12. He didn't have to do all that with Sasuke, but still, it made him gain aura points. Another thing I want to give him aura points for is his technique. But then again, like I mentioned before, the fact that he failed to retrieve Naruto. Another thing, that genjutsu that he put Naruto under was so diabolical. I don't know why he had to do all that. That fight with Sasuke, it's low-key top 5 fights of the Naruto universe. It was very entertaining to watch and we were all waiting for that fight. The fact that he let his brother win, because we all know this, he let Sasuke win and he died trying to make Sasuke a better ninja. Just everything is just so heroic. I know he died, but he gained aura points. I cannot finish this video without talking about Madara Uchiha. And you might say, oh, but Madara wasn't a part of the Akatsuki. Yes, but the fact that Obito was using his name so much, there was a time where I thought that Obito was really Madara. You know, I was so confused. Like, Obito really confused me so much with his whole character changing thing. I was confused. Just because Obito mentioned him so much, I have to do a special mention to Madara, okay? And I'm not going to mention every Madara scene because Madara needs his own video, if I'm being honest, but just to give you a preview, just to give you a taste of Madara. His fit was insane, and when I saw him I was like, wait, why he kinda...
They know I'm a big mouse, got a big...
Don't judge me, but Madara was kinda... Madara versus the whole Shinobi Alliance, he changed anime. Another one is Madara versus the 5 Kage. This whole fight was so disrespectful, you don't understand. He didn't have to go that hard. Mama, and when I saw him fighting blind and shirtless, and he stands, like, every time he's just standing there like this, you can see that he emanates aura. He just doesn't have to do that much for you to know that he is that guy. When he finally put Tobirama on his place, I cannot explain to you how happy I was. Because if one thing I hate about Naruto is Tobirama.
Let me block this Ku Klux Klan member.
And on top of that, he was making a lot of sense when he was talking. When he was talking about the dream that he wanted to do, like the thing, his plan, his villain plan. For me, he was making a lot of sense. With just those scenes, you can tell that he's the founding father of aura.
What adult would go full force when fighting mere children?
Madara stays undefeated, and I know he was defeated, but on overall levels, the Akatsuki remains one of the most memorable and iconic villain group, and you bitches could never. Bye!
I want to work with the nonchalant redhead. No, I'm gonna work with the nonchalant.
Oi, oi. Baka.